Chris Gauser here with
Matt Howell.
And on this episode of The First Run, kiddies, you're in for a treat. Both Matt and I are not in good moods. So, I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to talk about Good Boys, which is the big comedy hit of the summer, maybe, produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. You know, the guys that did Superbad and all the other funny stuff. Well, this time we have a bunch of kids, pre-tweens, saying all those dirty, dirty things. I'm going to share my thoughts about The Kitchen, which is a new crime noir thriller thing that's headed by Tiffany Haddish, Melissa McCarthy, and Elizabeth Moss. In the beginning of our French New Wave marathon, now see now it's starting to feel bad because Matt was not the biggest cheerleader of this marathon. And if we're both particularly not in great moods tonight, I'm curious to see how this something he does not want to. Matt, at least it's not the musical marathon, which I think you threatened to almost quit over.
That's true. I have, yes.
And then finally, we were going to do 5 best double features, but we pocketed that because a lot of news dropped in the last 24 to 48 hours. So we're going to talk about that instead. So let's start off all the festivities with a clip from the Good Boys. God damn it.
This is a really pretty CPR doll. I guess I'll go first.
Stop! What are you doing?
Kissing her?
You can't kiss someone without their permission. Remember from assembly?
Pretend it's Brixley. Try to be a gentleman. Okay. Brixley, can I kiss you?
Why?
Why?
Yeah, what do you like about me?
Well, you're sweet. You smell good. You're smart, too. You always push Henry in his wheelchair, even though he's super mean. And just when I think I've got you figured out, you go ahead and start skateboarding.
I consent.
Why don't you tell the fine folks at home? I'm going to give you the easy one this week. What is Good Boys all about?
It's about 3 friends who've grown up together, 3 best friends. They're just starting middle school, which I think in this particular case is 6th grade nowadays. Back in our day, it was 7th grade was when middle school started, but it's 6th now.
Whoa. Pump the brakes. Middle school is 6, 7, 8.
It wasn't for me.
What hellscape, Mad Maxi, and dystopia did you go to grade school in?
Simsbury, Connecticut.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's the thing. So now I know you're. I don't know if you're lying or you're just
stupid,
misinformed. Because Mrs. First Run grew up in Simsbury as well.
Okay.
From what I understand, it 6th grade was still considered middle school. It's just that it started. It was they held it in a different place because the classrooms were so crowded. Technically middle school, but I think it took place at the grade school.
Well, at my grade school, my elementary school, it was kindergarten through 6. It didn't make any distinction that 6 was middle school, and then we went to Henry James. The junior high school was only 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, I believe that's what the issue was. So I'm surprised because Simsbury is supposed to have a really good education system there, but clearly they failed it.
Obviously, they're as backward as something like, Mississippi or something?
Or where I am now. So why don't we... All right, so I don't mean to derail you. I just felt that was an extremely important point that I had to make. So go ahead, continue. Kids, something, go.
Yeah. So 3 best friends, they have grown up together. They are going to 6th grade, middle school, and getting all of the pressures, starting to, have develop interest in girls, and they get invited to, or at least one of them gets invited to a quote-unquote kissing party, or a party where girls will be. So they decide to try and figure out what they're supposed to do, and a comedy of errors ensues after that.
My question for you, Matt. Is Good Boys a laugh riot comedy of the summer, or have we finally gone too far? I get like hot dogs and buns doing it in an animated film. I'm all right with that.
Mm-hmm.
But kids and sex toys, and I mean a lot of sex toys, lots of jokes at the expense of adult fare.
Mm-hmm.
Were you uncomfortable at all, especially you being a father yourself? Were you okay with all that?
Yeah, you know what? It didn't really bother me. Obviously, I like the fact that, as kids, they've snooped into their parents' stuff. They know where everything is. Now, they don't know what it is. They're still too innocent. They think they're weapons or things of that nature. But Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with that, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that this film is the laugh out loud film of the summer. It barely garnered some polite chuckles from me, and I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was particularly funny. And the audience I was with, I think they agreed. It was pretty quiet in that theater.
That's interesting. How packed was your theater?
It was pretty full. I went on a Monday night, I think, and it was full for a late show. So
Tremblay's in this. Jacob Tremblay, who is fantastic in a little film called Room, which Brie Larson won an Academy Award for. Mm-hmm. He's 12. Now, I'm not moralizing here. I just want to point out that I know for a fact that he's 12.
Well, the other two can't be much older.
I wouldn't imagine. I don't know. I went back and forth on this. Now, I'm by no means a prude. I mean, I've had lots of experience, and I just feel that I don't know. I don't know. It was weird. I felt a little weird about it because I personally was laughing a lot. I went on a Tuesday night, which is cheapy night, and my theater was packed.
Was it?
I think it may have even sold out. It was
okay.
A large auditorium, and people were laughing a lot and laughing very hard. A few times, people laughed so much that I had trouble hearing the next joke or the next punchline.
Okay.
I don't know if also maybe that is an issue, just they didn't have the volume up high enough. I don't know. Though I did find it pretty funny. I laughed out loud quite a bit. I have some other issues with this film. I feel that it felt hastily assembled to me. Right? It felt like it kind of really jumps into things very quickly, and there's no real setup in this whatsoever. And I just don't know. It just kind of felt slapped together for me a little bit. And the whole thing, I feel like they were just created so we can have a bunch of crude jokes delivered by pre-tweens there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say the kids are necessarily improv masters, obviously, but it still had that kind of feel. And I think you're right. It almost feels like there were writers on set at all times, like constantly writing new jokes, and they would just film a bunch of different scenes of them saying different things and then putting it together in the editing room.
How'd you feel, too? I thought Tremblay was good, but Brady Noon, who played Thor, and Keith Williams as Lucas, they were a little hit and miss with me. Now, they're kids.
Right.
So I'm not going to hold it against them. But, I don't know. Do you have any issues there?
Not really.
Deliveries? No.
Yeah, I mean they were about what I expected. I mean, even Tremblay in some cases, he basically, he had the same look on his face throughout the entire thing. He had one mode, and he stuck with it throughout the entire film. But yeah, I mean, I was okay with it. I think, seeing the trailer, I knew what I was in for. So I was just a little disappointed. I expected it to be funnier than I did. Maybe I'm just joyless, Chris.
That could be it.
That could be it. Yeah.
You're not a very enjoyable person.
No, I'm not at all.
I did though. I personally enjoyed Will Forte as Max's dad.
He was funny, yeah.
And then Sam Richardson as the cop in the convenience store. I love Sam Richardson.
He was funny too.
That was well worth watching.
I love you, but just understand I don't like you anymore.
So I don't know what else to say. I mean, I personally found it to be pretty amusing most of the time. I thought for the most part it worked. It just felt very amateurish at times, which, was a little disappointing. But overall, I think it's well worth checking out. I don't think you need to rush out to the theater to see this, Matt.
Yeah.
But it's enjoyable enough for me. Would you, do you have anything else you wanted to add to it?
No, I mean, it's just, although it is interesting to see them try to kind of with the climate of the day and kind of how society is kind of slowly changing its perspective. It's funny how they're trying to make this kind of raunchy, I hesitate to say sex comedy, but kind of a ribald comedy that's raunchy with kids in it, but how they've kind of interweaved some of the more problematic elements that you would still see in those films as recently as like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I did appreciate too some of the relationship stuff with Jacob Tremblay's character, and then some of the women he likes, like Millie Davis's Brixley, right? And then how they kind of resolved that later on in the film, I thought was rather amusing. So I did identify with those moments. I actually remembered kind of going through all of that and the sheer terror of kissing a girl for the first time. What's going through your head, and my God, am I going to get that right? Also, too, Lil Rel and Retta, who played Lucas's parents.
Yeah.
I would like to almost see a whole different movie with the three of them as a family. That I would really enjoy that. I just love all those. I just love both of them, and I liked Keith Williams as Lucas. Like I said, I felt maybe some of the lines, some of it was kind of amateurish, but I blame that more on the film than I do maybe particularly those two kids' performances. But every time the air horn went off and Lucas would scream, when they're in, there was a lot of stuff in here that worked for me. That's all. No, I think it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine, guys. So what would you give this grade? Let's wrap this up. What would you give this sucker?
I think I'm going to give Good Boys a B-.
Yeah, even though you had better praise, I'm right there with you. I think B- is right.
Good.
Although I guess I'm on the lower end of the B- scale.
Right. So mine's a 93. You're more of a 91.
There you go.
That's
an A. That's an A-. That's an A- where I come from.
I'm an 83.
I'm an 80.
You're an 80?
Yeah.
Fair enough. A-. See, I guess my schooling wasn't too good either. Good Boys. Nothing to do with dogs. If you had a chance to see the film, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, I also got to see the adaptation of a Vertigo crime thriller. Did you know it was a Vertigo DC Comics adaptation?
I did. I remember seeing that in the flash during the preview.
So let's hear a little something from the kitchen.
Times change. You do what you gotta do. For kids.
Most employers don't want mothers. It's a competitive market.
You don't know me.
For money, you survive.
Now might be the time.
For what?
For you.
Our husbands have 24 months left on their sentences.
Sorry, baby.
This is the Irish mob, organized crime.
We're gonna take care of you. You girls are gonna be just fine.
We got no money.
Can't even make the rent with what they gave me last night. They didn't want me in the family in the first place.
40 years we pay protection and we don't get nothing for it. They have been telling us forever that we are never going to do anything but have babies. Bunch of men that have forgotten what family means.
So we remind them.
And boy, do they ever. So Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, and Elizabeth Moss play three women whose husbands have been incarcerated after a robbery goes bad. The remaining members of this Irish mob in Hell's Kitchen, Matt, are slacking off. They're not doing a great job collecting the protection money. They're just slowly losing their neighborhood to other organized crime outfits. So three of them decide to stand up and take it over themselves. And it doesn't work. This thing the whole thing falls apart. And I don't know exactly what the problem is. It felt like in this kitchen, Matt, someone's cooking fish in the microwave. There are some neutered twists in this film that when they show up, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, well, that's dumb. They sanitized the female empowerment. It almost feels like it's too focused on that, but never really delivers it in an interesting and exciting way. And it's odd in a film that's so focused and centralized on violence and in this this crime setting. But it's entirely flat. And every time they try and goose it with some action or introduce some character turn, at no point do you care. There's no emotional investment in this thing whatsoever. Elizabeth Moss, who plays one of the wives, has an interaction with Domhnall Gleeson, who plays this guy who is like kind of a heavy in the gang, and he had to go lay low after some big event. Now he's back, and he's helping out the women. And the two of them kind of provide us some interesting scenes, and they have pretty good chemistry together. But in the end, every time we turn the page or get into the chapter, it just doesn't work. And Haddish and McCarthy too. Haddish is like saddled, Matt, with these kind of one-liners and these little things, just like you heard in that trailer. We're now going to remind them. There's a lot of that in here. Just this subpar writing and some really poor line delivery. And I don't think it's on them. I think it's more it's all in the script. And she's harnessed with having to deliver these slightly comedic moments, but also present herself as this badass. And it all just feels so rote and flat and unoriginal, which is too bad because conceptually, I love the whole idea of this, but it's just exceptionally poorly executed, and it's a shame. It really, really is. I know you were looking forward to seeing this, Matt, too, right? So
yeah, I was. I thought it was going to be pretty good, and yeah, I mean, Vertigo puts out good crime material. Melissa McCarthy, I can take or leave most of the time. Elizabeth Moss is really good, usually. So I'm a little disappointed. I thought it could rise above, but it doesn't sound like it did.
Not at all. Unfortunately, The Kitchen 2, I think right now, Rotten Tomatoes is at 22%. And my rating would be right with it, Matt. I'm giving this a D+, I guess, on the strength at least of Elizabeth Moss. That's the best I can do. There is a moment, I don't want to ruin it for you if you ever watch it, but there is a moment near the end of the film where there's this big reveal, and I wanted to throw my seltzer at the screen. I'm like, that is not even remotely earned. They drop little hints, but it's like, oh yeah, well that's what she's doing. And in the end, they do this little pop in you, and then all you want to do is like, F you! How dare you? Which is now the reaction you want to be, eliciting from your audience. The Kitchen is still playing in some theaters now. If you had a chance to see it, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, it is a big week on Blu-ray and DVD. And there is a catalog film coming out on 4K that I am ridiculously excited for.
Well, you see, Willard, in this war, things get confused out there. Power, ideals, the old morality, and practical military necessity. But out there with these natives, it must be a temptation to be God. Because there's a conflict in every human heart between the rational and the irrational, between good and evil. And good does not always triumph. Sometimes the dark side overcomes what Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. Every man has got a breaking point. You and I have them. Walt Kurtz has reached his. And very obviously he has gone insane.
So that is a clip from Francis Ford Coppola's absolute stone-cold classic film, Apocalypse Now. Coming out in 4K, Matt. It's a 4-disc set. Includes the film's theatrical cut, the extended cut known as the Redux, and now the brand new final cut that Coppola has assembled. Basically taking both films and putting together one final one. And it includes the Hearts of Darkness documentary, which is one of the greatest documentaries ever made. It's loaded with other additional special features, and one of them, Matt, which I am keen to see, is the Tribeca Film Festival Q&A, hosted by Steven Soderbergh with Francis Ford Coppola, that has not previously been available for anybody outside of the festival itself. It has not been released in any form. There's also some brand new behind-the-scenes B-roll footage that has not been released previously. So now is the time to pick up that Apocalypse Now 4K. I'll definitely be double-dipping on this. I have this on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. I think I have it with I had the theatrical cut and then the Hearts of Darkness. I saw the Redux in theaters, and I just don't think it improves on the film at all. But I have not seen the final cut. In fact, the final cut is playing locally here tonight at 7:30. I did not get a chance to do it, go see it, unfortunately. But anyway, I'm really excited to check that out. Also coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday, that is August 27th. One of my favorite, maybe, summer hits of this year, Godzilla King of Monsters. If you get it from Best Buy, there's a steel book. They also have a 3D combo exclusive there to Best Buy. There's a Dolby Vision HDR10 presentation of the film, Dolby Atmos soundtrack, audio commentary by the director, and a whole bunch of featurettes on the making of the film, focusing on the different monsters. So technology, Millie Bobby Brown, Welcome to the Monsterverse, some deleted scenes, a whole bunch of stuff. So I will definitely be picking this up in 4K as well. The Elton John biopic, Rocket Man. Let me ask you, Matt, would you buy Godzilla King of Monsters? I know you didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
You know what? I probably would. If it got down to a certain price point, I probably would pick it up. Because there was enough in it that would still kind of be, gee whiz, fun to watch over.
I'm glad to hear that. Going back to Elton John, Rocket Man is coming out. There's a Best Buy Steelbook for that as well. There's extended musical numbers, including an introduction by Dexter Fletcher, and you get to see The Bee is Back, because we don't swear around here. We're very PC. Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Breaking Down the Walls of Heartache, and Honky Cat. There are deleted and extended scenes as well, about 10 of them, and a whole bunch of other making of featurettes. And there's also a Rocket Man lyric companion where you get to sing along with select songs and a bunch of other stuff. The A24 film, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Matt, we got to check off our A24 list. See this one. A young man with a big dream and a quirky best friend search for a home in the changing city that seems to have left them behind. Secret Life of Pets 2 is coming out, and again, a steelbook with Best Buy. Did you see The Secret Life of Pets 2 with First Run Jr. there?
No, I did not. Her grandfather took her to go see it. I didn't have to see it.
Did she enjoy it? Do you recall?
Yeah, she said she likes it, but she said she likes everything. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Killers Anonymous. A support group of killers is held regularly. The participants sit in a circle of trust and share their transgressions. But it's got interesting cast, Matt. Gary Oldman, Jessica Alba, Suki Waterhouse, and Tommy Flanagan all star in this film. And then, Matt, another movie we absolutely have to fit in some capacity. It's going to hit Sci-Fi, I think, in about a month, but I think we're going to watch the theatrical, well, air quotes, theatrical version. I imagine it's not going to... I'm assuming the Sci-Fi version is going to have some cuts to it. Have you heard about the Banana Splits movie?
No. I had no idea there was a Banana Splits movie.
So a boy named Harley and his family, brother Austin, mother Beth, and father Mitch, they attend a taping of the Banana Splits TV show. Well, let me back up. Do you know what the Banana Splits are? You're younger.
Yeah, I know what the Banana Splits are. Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's supposed to be a fun-filled birthday for young Harley and business as usual for Rebecca, the producer of the series. But things take an unexpected turn, and the body count quickly arises. Can Harley, his mom, and their new pals safely escape? So something happens. So the Banana Splits characters are robots in this film. And something happens, a la the Child's Play reboot, and they become murderous and start killing everybody.
Sounds like Five Nights at Freddy's.
So I think we absolutely have to check out the Banana Splits movie. New to Blu-ray, outside of the aforementioned Apocalypse Now, Criterion is releasing the Coker trilogy. Abbas Kiarostami, I think I slightly nailed it, first came to international attention, Matt, for his wondrous, slyly self-referential series of films set in the rural northern Iranian town of Coker. Poised delicately between fiction and documentary, comedy and tragedy, the lyrical fables in the Coker trilogy, Matt, exemplify both the gentle humanism and playful sleight of hand that define the director's sensibility. The films featured in this set are Where is the Friend's Home, and Life Goes On, and Through the Olive Trees. All three films, Matt, have a new 2K digital restoration, a new audio commentary on Life Goes On featuring Marahan Saeed Fava and Jonathan Rosenbaum, who are co-authors of Abbas Kiarostami, and then a 1994 documentary, a couple new interviews and conversations as well. Criterion is also releasing The Flavor of Green Tea Over Rice, one of the ineffably lovably... What is with me tonight? You know what? It's a hard sentence to say. Listen to this. One of the ineffably lovely domestic sagas. Ineffably lovely is where I'm getting hung up.
Mm-hmm. That's reasonable. And I think you should leave this in. You should just cut out the pauses.
I'm a professional.
We're doing it live.
Do it live. One of the ineffably lovely domestic sagas made by Yasuhiro Ozu at the height of his mastery. The Flavor of Green Tea Over Rice is a subtly piercing portrait of a marriage coming quietly undone. There's a brand new 4K restoration. What Did the Lady Forget? A 1937 feature directed by Ozu. A new interview with film scholar David Bordwell, and a new documentary as well on the making of the film. Vinegar Syndrome is releasing the, air quotes, classic Hell Comes to Frogtown, starring a Roddy Piper. Have you ever seen this film? I always heard about it, but I never saw it.
I've never seen it, no.
So, as only in the 80s hybrid of post-apocalyptic sci-fi weirdness, cynical humor, and horror touches director Donald D. Jackson's Hell Comes to Frogtown. It's every bit as crazy as the title implies. There's a brand new 4K restoration from the 35mm interpositive, an audio commentary with the cinematographer-director Donald Jackson, as well as writer-producer Randall Frakes, a video interview with Frakes, a video interview with Roddy Piper, which I'm assuming must be older, unfortunately, an extended scene, and some other stuff. Vinegar is also giving us Die Quarter, an underground hit from Germany's punk and new wave infused youth culture of the early 80s. Director Musha's Decoder blends arresting visuals, urban industrial aesthetics, science fiction, and moments of shocking violence, along with side-searing commentary on late 20th century consumerist culture. Co-stars punk icon Christine Felchernow and William S. Burroughs. It's a brand new 2K restoration from the 16mm camera negative, a brand new interview with writer-producer Klaus Mack, audio commentary with critic, author, and film programmer Keir Yanis, and more. And of course, as usual, Vinegar Syndrome has a couple dirty movies coming out, so you can check that out. But we're not going to promote that because we are pure, wholesome, God-fearing people.
Sure.
The Jamie Lee Curtis film Love Letters is being released. And then finally, Matt, your straight-to-DVD pick of the week is Big Top Evil. 5 disparate youths lost on a road trip to the location of the infamous Mangrove slasher end up being pursued by a cadre of... What do you think? Big Top Evil. What are they being pursued by?
Clowns? Clowns. Circus people.
There's alliteration there. So a cadre of cannibal clowns.
Oh, very good.
What should we be streaming this week?
I'm going to recommend an indie film from, I guess, when was it, early 90s? What's Eating Gilbert Grape, stars Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio. And one of his earliest film roles, but essentially Johnny Depp plays a young man who's stuck taking care of his morbidly obese mother and mentally handicapped brother in the middle of middle America. And it's just kind of a crutching situation that he just can't seem to get out of.
I have never seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Really? It's available on Amazon Prime. You should watch it.
It seems also unpleasant to me.
Yeah, but there's lots of movies that are unpleasant. That doesn't necessarily mean they're not good.
Fair enough. Let's wrap this up. Well, we're not going to wrap up quite yet. You still have to about 25 minutes of suffering to get through, people. Let's spend a few minutes talking about the first film in our French New Wave marathon, and that is Les 400 Blows.
Dis-moi, il paraît que tu as volé 10 000 francs à ta grand-mère.
Elle m'avait invité, c'était le jour de son anniversaire. Et puis alors, comme elle est vieille, elle ne mange pas beaucoup. Et puis elle garde tout son argent. Elle n'en aurait pas eu besoin, elle allait bientôt mourir. Alors, comme je connaissais sa planque, j'étais lui fauché des ronds, quoi. Je savais bien qu'elle s'en apercevrait pas. La preuve, c'est qu'elle s'en est pas aperçue. Elle m'avait offert un beau bouquin ce jour-là. Alors, ma mère, elle avait l'habitude de fouiller dans mes poches. Et le soir, j'avais mis mon pantalon sur mon lit. Elle est sans doute venue. Puis elle a fauché les ronds. Parce que le lendemain, je les ai pu trouver. Puis elle m'en a parlé. Alors j'étais bien forcée d'avouer que je les avais pris à ma grand-mère. Alors à ce moment-là, elle m'a confisqué le beau livre que ma grand-mère m'avait donné. Puis un jour, j'ai demandé parce que je voulais le lire. Puis je me suis aperçue qu'elle l'avait revendu.
Be about 5 more minutes. Just wait. I'm just kidding. We do, though, play the international clips now because we do have a worldwide audience according to our numbers. So you're just going to have to suck it up, people.
Yeah. Listen to some French.
The 400 Blows. François Truffaut's seminal film, his first film, which is a slight autobiography, a story about himself, which I think is a little redundant of me to say. Jean-Pierre Luad plays Antoine Doinel, Matt. Antoine is growing up with a family who they're a little too caught up in their own lives to really care for and provide the affection that Antoine needs. So he acts out. He has trouble in school. He steals, right? He leads a life of petty theft. He gets into trouble, and things basically unravel around him as he just has no support system, Matt. There's nobody he can rely on. His teachers are overly, I don't know, how'd you describe them? They're, I don't know, cruel, right? They're not very understanding and accepting.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a kid trying to make it through his adolescence and not doing a terribly good job of it, unfortunately, for him. So, Matt, this is the beginning of our French New Wave marathon. Do you feel a little bit better now about what we're about to do, or do you feel much, much worse?
I don't know if I feel any better, but I don't feel worse about it. So here's the thing. This is one of those films that it seems to be that if you are into film, you have to have seen it. And we did this with some of the classics that we watched, one of our earliest marathons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
we'll be doing that again at the end of the year, too.
Are we? Oh, fantastic.
Remember our shame marathon? Where we
right.
The stuff we hadn't seen?
Yeah, right. And there were some highs and lows in that. Some ones that we didn't like. This I can appreciate on an aesthetic level, and I can appreciate what it does because it's a gorgeous film, but I didn't really connect with it. And I don't know if that's because I'm old and I don't understand what youth is anymore or what. But I don't know. It just seemed like it had, I mean, this was basically, to me, as soon as I started watching this, I'm like, this is going to be Catcher in the Rye in France. That's basically what this is going to be. And that's basically what it was. It's a story of rebellion by today's standards is very, very tame. And it's almost kind of innocent. I don't know. I just didn't have a lot of connection with it.
I think that's part of the issue, right? Because you almost have to try and watch it in mind of seeing this in 1959.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how then we're really appreciating how revolutionary it was. It's like watching Vertigo. You don't realize what a landmark film something is because you've now been experienced everything that came after it. And I think that's part of the issue here. I think this thing is it's fantastic. I mean, there is stark beauty in this film coupled with sadness. I watched it thinking, and what I kept thinking about was that Fred Rogers quote. Remember from the documentary we watched last year? Mm-hmm. And I'm butchering the quote, but he basically says, like, all the actions, everything we do is due to love or the lack thereof it, right? And I think that's exactly what's happening here with Antoine. His life is out of control, and there's nothing he can do about it. And I can't imagine being this kid. What is he, 12 in this?
Is he that old? I thought he was like 13 or 14 in this.
Okay. So, but he's a child in this thing, getting no support and no care from anybody in his life. And I can't imagine what that must feel like. And let's keep in mind, too, this is also, we're not that far removed from World War II.
Right.
So, now granted, you don't get any shots of France being rebuilt, but in fact, there are some absolutely breathtaking shots in this thing. And especially even with the opening, right? As we're going through the streets and we keep getting peaks of the Eiffel Tower in the background once we get past certain buildings as we're peering through the cityscape. But you really feel Antoine's just total lack of control in his life. And all he's trying to do is to kind of find who he is, and what all he's doing really is pinballing back and forth through all of these events. Now, granted, a lot of them are of his own making. But he has nothing to guide him to do what might be the appropriate thing. And I think one of the key things to this for me, Matt, is it's not watered down with hope, right? It's very raw and emotional. This does not end on a high note. Right. Even he talks about he's never seen the beach, and he finally gets there. And then how Truffaut finishes a film where we zoom in and he turns and looks at the camera. He's finally got to do got to be where he wanted to be, see what he wanted to see, and it ends with him looking in his eyes that he's still truly lost.
Right.
And this thing really, I was just really blown away by this. It really moved me. But for you, not so much, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just being cynical. I can appreciate it from an aesthetic standpoint. I can appreciate what he's trying to say, but again, like I said, it didn't move me. It didn't move me the way it moves you, obviously. And that's okay, Chris.
No, it's not okay.
You will understand. You will feel what I feel.
So there were 4 other films that Truffaut I didn't see. Here's how my ignorance. He made 4 other films with this character at different stages of his life after the 400 Blows as well.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And also, I found out some interesting information while doing some research for the show. The English title is a literal translation from the French, but it doesn't capture what the title actually means.
Right.
So it's, what is it? Faire le quatre cents coups, and it means, actually the French translation, it means to raise hell.
Okay.
The 400 blows kind of has a more, like I said, it's a literal translation. So you're thinking of, since I'd never seen it, I thought it was all these different things that impacted him as a child.
Right.
Which I guess is still accurate.
Right.
But to raise hell, I think, is a much more interesting title. Another thing too, I caught on too after do some research, is that Truffaut never knew who his real father was, and there is a scene when in the classroom. I actually read this in the essay on the Criterion edition, where he had the English class and he has to repeat the phrase, "Where is the father?" Just really just hit me in the gut after I read that after watching the film. Like, wow, man, he really is trying to work through some stuff with this film. So, Matt, 400 blows gets an A from me.
I'm gonna give it a B+. I guess because I'm a hack. I don't know what to tell you, Chris.
Not enough boobs and explosions for you?
Yeah, that's not even true. But I don't know. I just I don't know. It's good. And maybe this will age well for me, and maybe I'll end up liking more of what's to come. We'll see. It's not exactly like how pissed off I was after watching Gone with the Wind. That movie made me angry on so many levels.
Oh, what's a little light racism? We've got a chance. If you've seen the 400 blows, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. All right, Matt, I've moved you over an inch.
You have. A little bit. Don't get cocky here, Chris.
I won't.
That musical thing is over my dead body, okay? From my cold, dead hands.
Have you seen Singing in the Rain?
No, I don't think I actually have.
All right, so that's what I would ask, because I felt the same way you did before I saw Singing in the Rain. Okay. In fact, former co-host of this show, Dave, was the same way. And then I got him to go see a screening of Singing in the Rain in Hartford, and he was like, wow, he had turned the corner.
But is it just because of Singing in the Rain, or did he like other musicals because of it?
No, it was just Singing in the Rain. It was the same with me. I'd never wanted to watch a musical. No way. And I watched that thing, and I'm like, this is awesome.
All right.
So the next film in our marathon, Matt, is going to be Breathless.
Okay.
I own that one. That was a blind buy. So don't forget, folks, I think we have 2 videos in my Great Unwatched series where I review films that I bought and never got around to watching. And Breathless will be a twofer. It'll be a special in-show Great Unwatched, and we'll discuss it too.
Very nice.
So who's excited for that? I'm seeing a lot of hands raising right now. I see Billy and Timmy and Janet and Susan. Okay. That's a romper room pull there for the kids at home. Feedback at thefirstrun.com. Tell me your thoughts about the 400 blows. Matt, let's move on and let's tackle all the crazy news that's been happening out there in Tinseltown.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
That is a clip from the sci-fi classic, The Matrix. If you didn't hear the big news, Matt, Lana Wachowski has signed a deal. Carrie-Anne Moss, Keanu Reeves, everybody's coming back, and we are getting a 4th Matrix film. How's that going to work? So the second and third films were great disappointments, correct?
Huge disappointments, yeah.
And don't they kind of dissipate disappeared. I don't know if die is the right way to say it, right? In the final film, isn't...
Well, I don't know
Trinity and
if I'm
Neo?
doing like a spoiler for a 20-year-old film, but I mean, I haven't watched those last two films in forever, but I distinctly remember Neo's lifeless body being dragged away by the machines after he did whatever confusing crap he had to do at the end.
So, are you excited about this?
I don't know if I'm excited about it. Probably not. I'm curious. I'm extremely curious to see what they can do. When we were sitting there planning this, because I knew we were going to talk about this, do you think is Keanu Reeves like? Is this like John Travolta again? Is this like his John Travolta moment where he's coming back around? Like he's just in everything all of a sudden? Like John Wick just was like his Pulp Fiction or something?
I don't know. I don't think he ever really disappeared like Travolta did. Like his career was, he was doing talking baby movies for a while. Right? He never hit that point.
Well, he was doing crappy rom-coms. I mean, what, like, dramas like Time Traveler's Wife and stuff like that. And
Devil's Advocate.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Devil's
Absentee Landlord. It's not as good as my other.
I can't even take that movie seriously because of Al Pacino in it and his terrible Southern accent. It's so bad. Devil's Advocate. Yeah, but see, now he's got, the John Wick films. He's got Bill and Ted coming out. He's got another Matrix coming out. I don't know. It just seems weird that he's kind of all of a sudden all over the place. But good for him. Anyway, I digress. I don't know. I'm not super excited. I mean, I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this whole thing, and maybe if we can somehow redeem the second and third film. I wonder, too, if they're going to say it's going to be some kind of retcon where the second and third films didn't happen or something. Or, I mean, how do you do? There's a deeper level of the Matrix that we didn't know about?
Well, so I know what I recall from, again, I haven't seen them in forever, is that the one, he shows up, like it's a recurring thing. Like it basically, like they never actually beat the machines. It's just that because some people can't be kept in the Matrix, they allow some people to wake up, and they have this whole idea of the one to kind of perpetuate the cycle. So maybe there's going to be another one, or maybe he never really died. Like maybe he exists solely in the Matrix now. I really don't know.
We'll find out together.
Yeah. Although it's interesting to hear that little clip you played and just knowing that the Wachowskis are trans women, how that just kind of all kind of plays what they were saying into that. It was not something I would have picked up on many, many years ago.
That's interesting. That's a good point. And too, I wonder if they'll address the whole, that a whole segment of the population has adopted the red pill for a much more nefarious
yeah, right.
manner.
Yeah. I wonder why Lily's not involved. I never really got into that at this point. I can't figure out why she's not involved.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. What else going on? I know there's one huge thing you're going to want to talk about.
Yeah, so the Marvel Sony deal fell through. And this is incredibly upsetting to me.
You don't think it's just a negotiating tactic? I think that's what it is.
Yeah, you know what? It could be. It very well could be. From what I understand, Sony quite unreasonably came back to them and came to Disney and said, we want the
the other way around. Disney wants 50%.
Yeah, they want, so really what Disney's deal is, they want 50% of the profit, and they want to start sharing 50% of the production cost. As it is right now, they get 5% of the profit, and they foot like 80 to 90% of the production cost, if not all of it. And they're looking to renegotiate that. And Sony said, no, we're good with the current arrangement. So you get 5% and pay for everything. So
I didn't realize that I thought Sony was paying for the production costs and Marvel is handling more distribution stuff. Is it the way around?
No, from what I understand, Marvel is footing, or Disney's footing the bulk of the production bill.
I did not realize that. From what even if that's the case, they've made how much money off of Marvel? I think if they can get to like a 70-30 jam, where Marvel gets 30% or Disney gets 30%, I hope that'd be acceptable to them. Here's the thing. So we're honest with ourselves, I think. Is it fair to say that the two best Spider-Man films are Sony joints. We're talking Spider-Verse and then Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, which is weird to say because, taking Spider-Verse completely out of the picture because that's just fantastic. The live-action Spider-Man 2 is, I guess, somehow greater than the sum of its parts because Holland's way better as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. He's like just head and shoulders better an actor. I just don't know, but I guess overall it still doesn't quite hold up to Spider-Man 2.
I think Spider-Man 2 is a more substantial film than either of the Disney Spider-Man movies. But I think I think Raimi really nails who Spider-Man is in that film. Though I still think maybe the best on-screen adaptation is Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to aesthetics, right, and big rollicking fun,
yep,
those Marvel films, those Disney films, are more entertaining, I think.
Right, and so I guess the problem is that Sony has obviously produced some real high highs, but they've produced some bad stuff, and like I'm just really concerned that they don't know. They haven't been someone with any confidence that they know what the hell they're doing. Because Venom is bad, Spider-Man 3 was bad, the Amazing Spider-Mans were not good. So like I don't know. They do not fill me with any kind of confidence that they can actually produce something worthwhile.
That's what I'm nervous about, is that I think they're on a sugar high with Venom, that they did really well financially. I think much better than they anticipated. And they think, well, let's replicate that, right? We can bring the two of them together. We can actually have Spider-Man and Venom face off. It'll be awesome. And it won't be.
Right. No, which is too bad because Holland's tied in for like 2 more movies. And like he's not in the MCU anymore. Which will be interesting to see if he can walk away. Like if he's like, this isn't what I signed up for kind of thing.
I don't know. I get where Sony's coming from. I just don't trust them to deliver an entertaining product at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's really the big problem. And there's who knows, maybe that Morbius film is going to be absolutely awesome. I don't know if anybody believes that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, the one silver lining about all this, I guess, really the one, because Venom is, as much as like Tom Hardy, that was not good, is that they somehow this will allow them to more easily bring in 2 breakout characters from Spider-Verse in Miles Morales and Spider-Woman Gwen Stacy. I mean, that would be cool.
But you're also going to have a problem, too, if you incorporate Venom, is now Venom in this version, this Sony universe, is an anti-hero.
Right.
And that's not who he was originally, right? He was a bad guy.
Yeah,
and now you're not going to get that face-off. We're going to get a Spider-Man Venom like team-up movie. And it's just... Ugh.
It'll basically be Superman versus Batman, the obligatory superhero first fight kind of thing.
Maybe that's what they'll try and do with Carnage.
Maybe. To fight the greater evil.
And that's what's going to stink too, is now we're not going to have... it's just the fact that it's not even Venom, not even Spider-Man related still drives me crazy. But
right.
I don't know. All I'm going to say, when mom and dad are fighting, we all lose. And I feel like that's where we are right now. So I'm hoping that they're able to work this out. They come up with an agreeable just percentage to split this thing. And then we're going to continue to get Spidey into the MCU proper.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, you know what? We're probably saying the sky is falling right now when we probably nerds just need to calm down.
Yeah.
See the chill is really what it comes down to.
That's exactly right.
And you know what? And if it happens, and if it doesn't work out, and they absolutely tank, I mean, that'll be a shame. But then maybe that's finally what Sony needs to do to sell the rights back. Who knows?
Part of me was wondering if after the deal fell through, Disney's like, all right, well, how much would it cost to buy Sony?
Yeah, I know. They approach Sony Japan because they're like, we know you guys are in desperate need of money and you want to sell Sony America. So let's do it. Let's make it work.
All right, then my final one is they announced the title, Matt, for Bond 25.
Okay.
And it is No Time to Die. Did you see the announcement at all?
No, I didn't see the announcement. I read some of the articles on it, though.
You should check it out. It's got a very 60s kind of Saul Bass feel to it, the way they reveal it. And I really, really enjoyed it. No Time to Die, I think as a title itself is just okay. But I like the, as I said, that 60s Saul Bass feel to the announcement. And it makes me wonder what's going to happen next. I'm wondering, so Cary, if you don't know, Cary Fukunaga is directing this. He's also the guy responsible, basically, right, for the first season of True Detective.
Yep.
And he directed, I should say, I think, that whole thing, right? And we'll see. I'm confident that we will right the ship. It is weird, too. Was it Matt Singer? I can't remember. But they tweeted out, you know, how odd it is with the Bond franchise. Like, you have Sam Mendes, who does an absolute, I think he said, like, an absolute banger with Skyfall and a total whiff with Spectre. And how delicate it is to get that Bond formula kind of exactly right. But I'm feeling confident about this film. And if it has these kind of 60s throwback feel to it, then I'm absolutely going to love that. And then it made me think, well, what are they going to do after this film, right? So from I think generally what we understand is that in this next movie, Bond he's retired and there's a new 007. Though they do refer to him as 007 in this announcement today or yesterday. So how does it end? If he's in retirement as it is, do they do another reboot? And then I'm thinking, what if they actually did like Tarantino's film, where it's set in the 50s or 60s, and he's on a mission and they shoot it in black and white, or something. They'd never do it in black and white, but what if they kind of did it just a one-off, kind of cleanse the palate, classic 60s spy film, and then they come back with a new Bond and kind of just pick up where everything left off?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I guess I'd be open to it. I would be curious to see how that would all play out. I don't know if they'll do it.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I would really like that instead of another reboot.
Right.
Or do they just ignore what's going to happen? Because I really feel like there's going to be some kind of final chapter for the Craig Bond.
Mm-hmm.
If he's coming out of retirement. I don't know. We'll see what they call. Or maybe they just ignore that fact, or they de-age him or something. Who knows? For the follow-up to this. Or they just don't make any James Bond movies ever again.
Which, I mean, maybe it needs to take a little break.
Well, that's the problem, is we're having too long a break between films it is. We should get back to the way it used to be, where you had, I think when they used to do it, there was almost one every year. But now they should do one every 2 years. We should get a Bond film. We shouldn't be waiting 5 years at a clip. It's absolutely crazy. And also, do that expanded universe I want to do. Do a Felix Leiter film, right? Do a bunch of stuff. I love Jeffrey Wright, but I want like a U.S. James Bond equivalent with Felix Leiter. Have a whole new franchise with that.
All right.
You at all excited for No Time to Die?
Not really. I mean, it's no secret. I'm not a huge Bond fan like you are. I enjoy them. I'm not like all into the lore and everything like that. I think I've seen I don't really like the Roger Moore films, so I barely watched any of them, kind of thing. And I've only seen the kind of absolutely must-watch ones of the Connery era, so it's okay.
Some of the Moore ones are solid.
Yeah.
I should give them a shot. I got to do something for the show with a new Bond film. I'm such a big fan. I got to come up with something to do for it. Some kind of video thing or ranking of them all, but not a typical ranking. I don't know. I got to come up with something good.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
D23 is this weekend, so we should be seeing a lot more coming from Star Wars and Disney Plus stuff. So that'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
I don't know what D23 is.
It's like Disney's focused, like a Disney Comic Con, basically. It's basically all Disney stuff owned property. They have a big expo in California. So it'll have like stuff about Pixar, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. So since they've kind of got all that stuff, should be seeing quite a different, but new things.
Did you hear too that Disney's working with the cable companies to really clamp down on password sharing for the Disney?
Oh, really?
Thing?
Oh, really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who would do such a thing. I mean,
yeah, that's wrong.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I want to see The Mandalorian, though. I think I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I know. I do want to see that too. I've said it though. I mean, if it's at $7 a month, you know what? I'm an adult with a white collar job. I can afford $7 a month. It's not going to be that make or break for me kind of thing,
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you heard it too. They announced today for Mortal Kombat 11. They have a new game pack coming out with I think 5 or 6 new characters. But there were 3 of them that I found were interesting. Did you see this at all?
No, I did not.
Spawn is one of them.
Oh, okay, interesting.
The Joker.
Interesting. Okay.
And then my personal favorite, the T-800.
Really? Interesting.
Schwarzenegger Terminator and like old Arnold. Like
it's not like the endoskeleton or anything like that?
No, it's actually him. Well, he's got the red eye, with some of the face revealed.
Okay.
I think that I'm sure at some point he'll be the exoskeleton. It'll be the exoskeleton Terminator during the fight, maybe. Now I'm actually seriously considering. They did Jason in one of them too, I think, a while back. But
did they?
Having Arnold in there, I think is I don't know. I may have to break down. I haven't bought a Mortal Kombat game in I don't know how long.
It wasn't that long ago. It was probably I guess it was a long time ago. It was back when you lived here because I remember playing you at your old apartment, at your old place.
Oh wow! So that's like at least 6 years ago.
Yeah. I love your unabashed love for Arnie, where suddenly you would just consider buying this game because you love him so much.
I do. I don't know I'm not even sure when that happened, but I don't know what it is when that actually kicked in. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's your big news that's going on right now. We'd love to hear thoughts on any of those little items. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Did you finish Stranger Things Season 3?
I did. I quite enjoyed it. What'd you think?
I thought it was fantastic. This is my favorite season, I think, so far, though I'm a little down on the ending.
Okay.
And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I think that one character's death is total BS.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a little teaser at the end, too, right?
Yep.
So that I think that reveals that individual may not actually indeed have passed.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet, like in any science fiction film or genre film in general. If you don't see a body, question any death.
Exactly. Because you see other people get obliterated, but you don't see this one character.
Right.
Right? That's the one you don't see. So
yep.
I think we're going to be okay on that one. Though I will admit, when it happened, I was like, oh no. You could see it coming, too.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, no. So it had the emotional impact that they were going for, the Duffer Brothers were going for with me. So,
well, I mean, and don't forget, in the first season, for all intents and purposes, people were thought that 11 was dead. So
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. So it was rock solid. That was a really good season. And I think I'm 3 episodes in on Mindhunter season 2, and that has just been fantastic.
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't had the chance.
They have a 5-season Bible.
Really?
I hope they get through all 5 seasons.
Okay.
No, Netflix will cancel it after 3. But it is really, really good this season. The first 2 episodes have been really good. The third one was fantastic. And I hear it just keeps getting better from there. So,
has our boy showed up yet?
They've talked about him. They haven't gone to see him yet, I don't believe. Did they do see episodes? I can't remember. So, well, yeah, he shows up in the beginning of one. Anyway, just
watch it.
You got to watch it. Yeah.
All right.
Coming up next week on the big show, Matt, we're doing the horror film Ready or Not, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
It has a sparkling 90% in Rotten Tomatoes, so hopefully that will carry over in our discussion. And our French New Wave Marathon continues, as we said, with Breathless and more. Gosh, that's fun. Check us out at thefirstrun.com. Go over to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually you will find us. Go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. That'll help other people find the show. We would love that. And Matt, that's it. So why don't we go ahead and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.